last year, Sam Howell was sacked 65 times. Bryce Young was sacked 62 times. The next closest after those were 45 times. The Commanders also led in quarterback pressures and quarterback pressure percentage. The O-line was terrible. So which leads to my question to Jayden Daniels. I saw in the preseason he's throwing the ball at like 1.8 seconds, which would be the fastest of all time in the NFL. So do you think Cliff knows that as far as the O-line situation, and what could we think? What are our expectations for Daniels coming here, rookie season starting?
Well, I think Cliff's smart enough to know that, he can't do what the Washington Commanders did last year. That was malpractice to call that many pass plays, to not try to include the run, to get the quarterback killed, to not have answers for certain blitzes that they didn't have answers. I mean, I think I watched Sam Howell play last week against Tennessee, and he's still reeling from all those hits he had. And Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator, he took great pride. Look, Andy Reid would be proud of me. I'm calling all these passes. No, Andy Reid wants to manage the game. And, you got to manage the game to give your players the best chance to win the game. Calling passes isn't exactly the best strategy when you can't protect. So I do think Cliff's smart enough to balance this out. And look, the Daniels is a tough guy to defend because he can run the ball. He gained 1,000 yards at LSU. The ball's going to come out of his hands quickly, but they're going to run it. They're going to be in a tight end, will be on the field. I do think they'll try to blend and incorporate. Look, I'm not saying first down run, second down run, pass. No, I think there's going to be some balance, which you have to have. To protect the kid. You can't put this guy in a situation where all of a sudden the onus of winning comes onto his shoulders, and I think that's too unfair. This line's not good enough either. They've improved it, but it's not anywhere near where the Detroit line is. I mean, Jared Goff stands back there. There's nobody around. He's got a table for two. He can throw it whenever he wants. That's when you got a good team.
And Jared Goff, if you give him a table for two, maybe even slide in maybe a four-piece seat, middle there. He can dice.
We're eating touchdowns.
Yeah, that's for sure. What's on the menu tonight?
Touchdowns.
TDs. Mm-hmm. We got some tuds for apps here. We got touchdowns for the entree. And then look at this dessert. Oh, is it a pretty titty?
That's why it's so important to have a really good line. I mean, that's where the Steelers haven't really. I mean, Mike Munchak, when he left, the Steelers line hasn't been the same. These line coaches, let me say this to you, these line coaches are worth their weight in gold. Because when you have the Howard Mudd and you have these Dante Scarnecchi and Mike Munchak, these guys that can coach, Munchak, I mean, that saves you as a personnel man. That's the most important thing in an organization. And you get those guys to play good, and you find a young player like Zach Frazier who could be good for 4 years at an economic value. That's how you handle your cap.
Coach Callahan heads down to Tennessee as well. Great offensive line coach from Cleveland. Cincinnati. No.
He was in Cleveland. Yeah, you're right.
He was in Cleveland, and Cleveland's offensive line, best in the league.
Great. So Tennessee backups, Pat. Remember, they lost both starting tackles. Then they lost backup tackles, and Billy was able to come in and get it fixed. Now, will he get that done for Tennessee? I think they're going to improve. They'll be a better team, in the offensive line, because those line coaches are so important. And when you don't have a good one, it becomes a real issue.
And listen, the big boys up front we appreciate.
Always.
We absolutely love. And obviously, I've been a part of field goal operations for the entirety of my football life. So what offensive linemen have had to do for me and whoever is kicking at the time or holding at the time to do our job is absurd. Like, hey, die slowly. You're talking about just full on. There is no me at all in this team. This is a ta. That's how there's no M-E in team. There is no I in this thing. They are literally balls snapped, going like this and just getting steamrolled. Okay, so you're not thinking about your body at all. In the technique, die slowly, like you're gonna get crushed. And they do that just so maybe a ball can go through the uprights for the good of the team. And then if the ball goes through the uprights, guess who's getting the credit? Well, the kicker is getting the credit. And it's like not even talked about. And then they just got to scrape their bodies up after an entire long drive. Then they get just absolutely, they used to go, before these rules changed, you'd have people pushing too. So you'd have a 260-pound linebacker pushing a 330-pounder D tackle, and then doubled. You'd have both of those, and they just be going on one guard's inside shoulder, both of them. And that guard just was supposed to, as soon as the ball snapped, that he's not snapping, so he doesn't know the exact time. Plant your right leg back or left leg, depending on the side, and then just hold on. And you got actually 600-some pounds of humans touching you, and then 500 pounds of pressing coming. And then if the ball goes through, get your fucking ass up off the field and get out of here, because we got a kickoff, or the cheerleaders have to do a dance because we're during commercial break. So shut up and get off. That is the offensive line mentality, and they don't get talked about enough. But if you have a good offensive line and you can protect and move bodies, you're going to win games. Like you are going to win games. Like that is. So with the Tennessee Titans, the biggest signing for me all offseason, and they've had a bunch, and they've certainly had a plan. Callahan going down there,
huge.
Especially with his son getting that job. It's like, that is a big deal for the Tennessee Titans.
They've drafted the last 2 years at that position, first round.
Yeah,
you can win you games. Yeah. Like you see all these quarterbacks that are good in 7-on-7, but then whenever it starts getting good, like Jared Goff, for instance, and we just talked about the Detroit. Like if Will Levis does have it, and seemingly does, you give that guy time and a run game, so it's like play action can then happen. It's
got Ridley.
And that's all offensive line controlled. That is literally offensive line controlled, and we never talk about it, Lombo. Never talk about the fat boys.
No, but they make a difference. And let me add one more layer to it. You bad lines don't travel. Okay, bad offensive lines don't travel. So when you go on the road with a bad line, why did the Cowboys lose road games last year? Because their line couldn't play very well on the road. It becomes a problem. Crowd noise, concentration, all those things. Good line. That's why Detroit's got San Francisco into the fourth quarter. Green Bay was able to play as well as they did out of San Francisco because their line could pass protect decent enough to do it. I just think, to me, when you have a bad line, it becomes problematic when you have to go on the road and try to win in a stadium like Indianapolis or Seattle or those places where you can't hear. And that's why, it's great to draft receivers. Look, the Bengals took Chase over Sewell. I would have taken Sewell. I think Sewell's one of the dominating offensive linemen in all of football. Guy's got Hall of Fame talent, but it's true. He does. He has Hall of Fame talent. And he's playing right tackle. He could easily play left tackle. But the guy's a force if you watch them, he's a force on the field.
And he was like 20 when he got drafted. Or
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 22 or 23
it's like his
now.
fifth year,
Yeah, just signed a new deal. Just turned 24 years
Sewell
old.
first rounder, Decker first rounder, Ragnow first rounder. Those are like the best linemen in the NFL right there.
And they're all paid and they all get along.
Exactly.
And they all play good. Even though you get picked in the first round, sometimes we blow first round picks. They're not very good in offensive line, but those three are hits.
I'm blowing them.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to get out of here, Lombo. We can't thank you enough for joining us. Every time we talk to you, we feel
anytime, my man.
Hey, how have you felt about old Bill stopping by the last couple of weeks, man? Obviously, you know him very well.
I love listening to him talk. I love it. And he had Cower on, and I thought it was great.